Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, as you guys can see, I have brought my pole back. Um, Partner definitely for training, for me for training. So if you guys have probably worked with me before or have seen my work, you know that I do pole and I work with a lot of pole performers. So this is a great way to get in the know of pole performing. Which is in my case to get involved into the craft. So studying, practicing, getting into a series, which I am currently in right now, and then ultimately being able to perform and doing all types of things. But for me, it's the best of two worlds because I can film, I can also perform and be on the pole, and I can also be able to tell my polars when they come and do shoots with me. I can see where they're going, how they move. I can understand their world a lot better. Today, we're going to be talking about lighting, just lighting in general. And the reason why I chose this particular topic in this way, you may have the crappiest camera. You may have the worst positionings when it comes to angles. You may not even understand your settings, for example, right? But if you can master lighting, it will save you every single time. You might be the worst at editing because you know how to capture and be great when it comes to understanding your lighting and your angles and the mood to create, the emotions to feel. It can look better than anybody else out here just because you mastered that. If there's one area that you're best at and the other area you might need some work at, this is where you can have an assistant, you can hire help, you can even collab with other people. It could be in different ways you can make it happen, right? But ultimately, understanding that if you master the lighting itself, you can go far. What I'm going to do is give you guys a story. So, me, as you guys already know, I do this videography, photography, all of that. But there has been moments where I will be at a show and I may either bring my own lights or I may not bring my own lights, thinking I might not necessarily need them because they may have their own. Most of the time, places have their own, but then there's other times where even if they have their own, it's best to have mine so that way I can really amplify the quality of the video. There will be moments where their lighting might not capture every single movement, meaning their light might be in one particular area, but then their dancers might go behind the light without knowing, or might jump in front of the light without knowing. And it's not up to the dancers to have to understand this. It is really up to the person that's setting up the lights. Again, some people, they just know, hey, I just know I need this light. I want this color. This is where I want it coming from. And that's that. But they don't also understand what effect it's going to have on your visuals if you were to go ahead and film somebody in that same setup. Okay. I have been in one too many shows where their lighting was what it was. And then after the show, I realized, you know what? I wish I would have brought my own lighting because I feel like I would have had more control versus having to work with what they had. Granted, yes, sometimes you will carry more things with you. Obviously, when you're having lighting equipment, it's going to be another bag. It's going to be something else you got to carry, right? But I would rather do that than go to an event, then realize after the event that I wish I would have had my own equipment and used it just because of the purpose of, hey, let me make sure that I'm actually showing, the best of what I can do versus, hey, I'm gonna work with what you got. Because people will appreciate you more if you tell them, hey, I'm gonna have this extra lighting attached to what you already have, even if you don't give them a reason. They just be like, okay, well, you're the professional, you go for it, right? They're gonna more than likely let you do it. Now, if it's a situation to where it might maybe be a clutter, it might be in the guest way, the audience way, or it might be in the way of the dancers themselves, then of course you have to maneuver to make it make sense for you at the end of the day. And then sometimes you got to deal with it as it is and just do the best that you can. Hence, adjusting your settings when it comes to maybe boosting up your ISO or dropping your shutter speed down. I try not to drop the shutter speed down too much, but in retrospect, sometimes it does help. Okay, I could because I would rather personally drop my shutter speed down to amplify my lighting if I can't add extra lights versus boosting up my ISO to give me more grain. And that's it. That's it. I just don't want the extra grain. Like I really just don't want the extra grain. So I'd rather risk possibly having a motion blur when I am, for example, editing the video, and I might want to slow a portion of the video down. And of course, because I already have my shutter speed slow already, when I go to slow it down in post, it will give me a slight motion blur. But I'm okay with that. Whereas somebody else might be like, yeah, I'm not okay with that. I would rather risk the grain than having to go ahead and risk my shutter speed. So it's here or there. You have your choice on how you want it to be done, but ultimately that's just my perspective when it comes to how I've done my shows in the past and also how I want to do my shows in the future.